So I won $10 million on Beast Games, and now I ended up starting a podcast with these idiots.
What an intro.
I mean, seriously, what are we doing here?
But I high-fived Mr. Beast, and all I got was this silly podcast. What?
That is exactly what I mean. But we'll get into the real reasons. But there truly is a connection between us, and it has nothing to do with money or Mr. Beast.
Well, one of us here won $10 million. The other two of us won $1,000. So
I think you might have won more than that. I mean, didn't you get something? Didn't you get like
the hotel breakfast was fantastic.
That's it?
Yes, it was excellent.
I got
it was
a
worth
jersey.
At least $10 million. You got a jersey as well.
Yeah.
A nice hockey jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what a fun time, and obviously it's fun for me. I won $10 million. Well, I'll buy you guys dinner next time I see you.
Deal.
Olive Garden or something like that. But
unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks. We're good.
Yeah. I mean, I still love my deals.
Well, Jeff, speaking of things that we won, I think we were all actually talking about this while we were there together in season 1 of the Beast Games. But even then, I think we all realized that the friendships and the connectivity and the mutual craziness of being willing to do something so outlandish brought us all together. I think we all realized the real prize was the friends we made along the way, actually, no joke. And that created the Dad Squadcast.
It's so cliche, but it's so real. Again, John, you and I in person have probably spent 5 days together, and we're good friends. It's just bizarre. I love this is I kind of equate it to whether it's musical theater or these kind of really intensive kind of work retreats. You just get to know people super well and forge lifelong relationships. It's happy to be here on the Dad Squadcast.
Well, with that said, how about we roll into our whys? Here on the Dad Squadcast, we are here for brotherhood, mission, and legacy. We're here to just hang out, have some fun, talk some trash, probably be pretty silly from time to time, maybe have a beer here and there, and also to share a little bit about our journey, what it's like to be a dad today, which is not always super easy, but is almost always super amazing. So that said, Jordan, do you want to share who you are and your why?
Absolutely. So my name is Jordan Egbert, live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have 2 kiddos, 5 and 2, a 5-year-old boy and 2-year-old girl, Lennon and Atlas. They are my pride and joy. I'm so proud of them. They're the most amazing kids in the world. And really how my story gets started is a very typical story of someone who went through the motions of what life is supposed to look like. I went to college like I was supposed to. I graduated and got a job, a corporate job right out of college, and then got married. And all the while, I just didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I wasn't supposed to be doing that. And I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I didn't feel like college was for me. I never got the best grades. I wanted to just goof around and start a business instead. But I was too scared to because I was nervous that was off the traditional route. And one day when I was sitting in my office, working my corporate job, making pennies on the dollar, I had enough. And I called my wife, Chloe, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. We need to live a little. We need to have a more adventurous lifestyle.
And you started selling feet pics at that time? Was that?
Yeah. So that's when the feet pic business started.
Got it. Good.
I don't think anyone wants to see pictures of my feet. No, all good there. And so I called Chloe and I was like, hey, we need to go on a vacation and just kind of figure out what's next in life. And so we went to an island called St. Thomas in the Caribbean. And we just kind of discussed our future and what it looks like. And we ultimately came up with this game plan that we wanted to take some time, indefinitely go travel the world, see the world, what it had to offer. And we visited a bunch of countries. And from that, we realized we wanted to start posting on social media. People were asking us about our trips and what the best things were to do. And so we started creating social media accounts around travel and posting around that. And after about 3 years of that, we started making money from it. People were paying us to travel. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And so at that time, COVID hit. We had to stop traveling. We had our first son, Lennon, and realized very quickly that I wanted to help him see a different way of life. There's no one right way to live life. I wanted to show him that whatever you're passionate about, whatever you love to do, that is what you can do. It doesn't have to follow any one specific route. So we enrolled him in a world schooling program in Europe for a couple months. And he's been to 52 countries now. And so my why is I love following my passions and I love helping other people see that, there's not only one way to do things, there's many ways to achieve your dreams and goals.
And you can just do things like you hear people say it, and the last couple of years, especially for me, I've realized that. But in becoming friends with you and seeing your journey, it's like making a decision, having a great partner you can do it with Chloe, and saying, "Hey, we're going to create the life." And again, I think you're going to look back in 3 or 5 years and go, "I can't believe I was doing that 3 years ago." Like it's going to continue to grow. So you're one of my favorite follows on Instagram. I love your content because it's full of family and full of travel. Two things I love.
Yeah, Jordan, I like your stuff before I even know it's you.
Yeah, I've told Jordan this before, but it's one of my favorite things is to see friends like from high school or college, and I see that they're following Jordan. I'm like, yes, I know this guy.
You guys are too nice. It's definitely fun. It brings life into me. I'm one of those people that needs adrenaline rushes every so often, or else I get bored. And so, going to a new place, trying something new, that's right up my alley. So, been a lot of fun.
Well, I love it, and my why is similar but different. I have two little kids myself. By little, they're getting bigger. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, two boys, Jack and Lucas. And I grew up with four sisters. So when I had a son, I was like, this is awesome. Like I get to have a buddy. I get to have a friend that, is kind of like a brother. And then when I had two, I'm like, this is even better. Like they're going to be best friends. This is going to be sweet. But kind of things transformed when my youngest son was diagnosed with a rare disease. We knew something was up early, just when he was 7, 8 months. And then he got diagnosed at a little over 2 years with creatine transporter deficiency, a rare brain disorder that really impacts his development, his intellectual abilities, and just a lot with his activities of daily living. But it's one of these things where, you go through these challenges and you get to choose how you respond. And he gifted me so much. He gifted me the ability to kind of find the beauty and the blessings, the gift of faith, really helped me kind of reconnect with my faith and kind of ultimately took me on this journey to try to find purpose in the pain. And it kind of took me on this weird, windy road that ended up at Beast Games. And, I think the cool thing about Beast Games is, it's everybody sees that I was one of 1,000. I ended up winning $10 million. But what a lot of people it took a little bit longer for people to see that I was there for something bigger than the money. I was there to tell Lucas's story. I was there to tell the world about his rare disease and try to get people who have big hearts to care. And whether not even just about his condition, but other rare diseases. And, when I look back and kind of go, gosh, I was inspired to be on the show because my oldest son, Jack, loves Mr. Beast. My youngest son has this rare disease. It just reminds me of this one kind of philosopher I used to study, modern day philosophers, like, hey, we think we're here to teach our kids things, but guess what? They're actually here to teach us things. And
love that.
It's just something that it's really sat with me is that I've learned so much. I've grown so much from those two than any other teacher, mentor, coach I've ever had. And I know it's just getting started. And it's just the absolute blessing of a lifetime to be a dad. And man, I'm excited to kind of be rubbing shoulders with two awesome dads with two totally different experiences and kind of just chit chat about the highs and the lows. It's not all great, but it's all beautiful for sure.
I remember Jeff, the
you were
first
one of
time
2000.
2000. Yeah. I don't get into the weeds that often because then you have to explain it. But yeah, 2000, which is crazy. And that's where we met, John. It's Beast Games initially started with 2000. By the way, I didn't know Beast Games had not started yet. I didn't know it was the YouTube channel until I got there. Like, hey, did you see Jimmy's video? We're just here to get down to 1,000. Like, what? My wife's going to kill me. What? This isn't it?
Jeff, I remember the first time we met, you told me your story and your why for being on the show, that you were there for Lucas and to raise awareness. And I remember thinking in my mind, this guy is a killer. This guy is going to go far because he has a purpose. Meanwhile, everyone else is just goofing around, having fun, just like, yeah, we're hanging out with Mr. Beast. I was like, that guy right there is serious and he is going to go far in this game.
Oh, well, dude, I remember. Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I met you, we were playing basketball at the hotel and it was just, I'm like, okay, this guy's intense. He's good. It's just neat to think that like we were perfect strangers. And then you and I became close because we were in the same bribe row in episode 1 and just kind of had a lot in common. It's just such a good kind of metaphor to how life works is like, you're going to walk by people who you can become really close with. And it's whether or not you engage in a conversation or not determines, if they stay in your life. It's just, life is so bizarre when it comes to this stuff. John, talk to us. Why are you
Jeff,
here?
I have a similar philosophy when it comes to people, and having grown up in a variety of places, most of which professionally, anyway, my world has been some form of human resources or talent acquisition leadership. I believe that no matter where you are, if you're in a room with more than one person, that there's two people that can change each other's lives. And whether or not there's a conversation that happens that reveals how that could be is entirely up to us. And frankly, it's rare that we do. And so it's pretty wonderful when it actually does happen, like with this group right here. That has a lot to do with my why. I grew up in a small town in Northern California called Paradise, which is a very small rural town, had about 20,000 people in it, most of whom were over the age of 65. So it was a strange place to be a kid. I'll tell you right now. But it kind of taught me there's an art to the way things once were, and it's a little bit more organic and a little bit more connective. And I value that very highly. My dad was a trucker, so I traveled the country with him. And Jordan, I don't know if I've ever actually had a chance to share that with you, but that was my version of Lennon's amazing opportunity to connect with this whole world was traveling all the United States before I was 10 years old, which is pretty awesome for a trucker to be able to do that for his kid.
I didn't know that. That's really cool. You got to see a lot of cool places as a kid.
Eat a lot of good barbecue, that's for sure. Yeah, that's
Well,
for sure.
and what's even weird is to see it from a different vantage point. To be that high up in a truck, it's a different perspective. You know what I mean? So like I think that's one of the cool things too about life is just a slight change in perspective changes how you see things. And like it's like I think what a cool way to see the world, literally.
It's like if we were all 6'7", like Jordan.
Totally,
Like,
exactly.
That's exactly what it's like.
You just look down.
You can see the top of everybody's heads. My why, I have the similarly such a wonderful family that I get to call my own and come home to every day. I've got this amazing woman named Kelly that is my partner, my wife. She's a doctor of palliative care and is just the most amazing human being who takes care of people in some of their trickiest days. She is just amazing. We have one little 3-year-old girl, and I have an adopted a 24-year-old girl. Got a widespread. The older of those two, she is part of the special needs community. So growing up, that was not unlike Jeff, your story. There's a point at which there's forks that come in the road that sometimes you just don't see coming, and you find yourself on a new path. And it takes a minute sometimes, but boy, is it a wonderful place to be. And there's so much to learn and so much joy there. And I think it's the hardest parts of life that give us the most empathy. And that for me translates to how I work. I've come up through tech. I've worked for Amazon and Apple, led some of the biggest teams for those companies, largely in talent acquisition and hiring. Took a startup public in 2022 called SoundHound AI. And now I'm part of the fastest growing startup in Boston, which is a shocker AI, in this case, scientific superintelligence. So we are, my wife and I are very lucky to be part of a really incredible convergence of technology and human care, and especially in a place like Boston, where there's just such an interesting set of minds that with MIT and Harvard and BU and BC and all of these schools. So it's really cool. And I think my why is ultimately bringing amazing people together, shaking up that jar and seeing what happens with the alchemy in that setting.
Simply put, John is the smart one among the three of us.
Well, yeah, clearly. And one thing I'll add too, in addition to the smarts, very persistent and like just this idea of connecting with dads and sharing dad stories. Like this is something you've been working on, John, for a bit. And you've been patiently persistent to make sure that this recipe works. And I commend you for how you kind of navigate life and projects at the same time. It's pretty cool.
Well, I thank you very much. I'm reminded of Toronto when I think you guys were playing basketball probably in that hotel, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm reminded of just what a lightning rod both of you guys are. Like there's a magnetic attraction and you can see people gathering around. And like you, Jordan, when you kind of zoomed out and said, oh, there's somebody serious. Similarly, I found myself more than once saying, why are there just sort of like magnetic fields forming here around certain people? And you guys were certainly those poles.
Yeah, I feel like the three of us just had an instant connection that was like, there's something more here. We don't know what it is yet, but at some point, there's going to be something. And now here we are, two idiots and a $10 million winner.
Yep. There it is.
Who's also an idiot.
He looks like my after picture on a Botox ad, frankly. Like
hysterical. Oh no, but that is what's so great is there was so many times where I got called John, especially in Vegas. like, "Hey, John, great job leading." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't do anything. Like, what are you talking about?"
And
They
that's a
always
compliment. You're like,
confuse us.
yeah, I am John.
Well, I wish that they said, "Hey, Jeff, here's your check for $10 million," and I don't know if I would have said I'm John in that moment.
So good.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah, cool, 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 cool. You
But
know,
no,
boy, I tell you, if there's ever a team version of Beast Games and the three of us are on it, woo, child, hold on
well,
now.
trust me, it was just when Jordan got eliminated in episode 6 that I realized how hard he was playing without, not how hard, but like, and by the way, Jordan, I never watched Survivor until after I participated on Survivor in season 2. And then I realized, oh, Jordan was playing Survivor. And then, like, if you would have got past that, you might be the $10 million man. No joke.
I would have
And
knocked you
and
out
then
for
also,
sure.
John, like, I don't take this the wrong way. You should probably take this as a compliment. But if you didn't get eliminated in episode 1, you might have been the winner too. Because like you just were this mastermind who could see things before they happened and had developed this amazing followership without, like, I don't want to say trying, but without like trying to like recruit people. It was impressive. So thank you guys for clearing the way and getting out while you did and letting some
Yeah,
idiot.
we just got everyone else out of the
Least
way
we
for
could
you.
do. Yeah, yeah, you just knocked it out. Well, speaking of big highs and big lows, one of our segments that we look forward to showing on a regular basis is what we call low high, which is where we share in the past week what is the low point that we had as a dad and what is the high point, and a story to come with each of those two. And so we can just roll right in. I'm happy to go first if that's super helpful. So our 3-year-old Lexi is in her toddler bed, and now we are navigating a sleep regression that is unlike anything we've seen since the every couple hour feeding cycle when she was like single digit days old. And so there's a level of exhaustion that you forget you can survive until you're either a new dad going through a sleep regression or in season 1 of the Beast Games. And it's certainly tricky, but boy, I tell you, it feels like an endurance race. And every day you get to be like, I'm surviving. Yes, I'm winning. So this morning was definitely one of those, that moment. The high point I would say is, sometimes as a dad, you just get these moments that are basically an Instagram reel. And you're like, I'm glad nobody was filming that because nobody would believe it. I had one of those just the day before yesterday. Lexi was running around like a little chaos machine in the morning. And I was sitting and helping her get her shoes on. She did a couple laps around the kitchen while mom was finishing getting lunch ready. And she stops and goes, Mommy, I fell in love. And she goes, oh, did you? With who? She said, Daddy! And then sprints around the room at full speed. And it was one of the more heartwarming moments that I think I'll ever encounter as a dad.
Yeah, you probably have downloaded that clip on Nest and like watch it every morning. Like that's the stuff that lives on forever.
I'm going to make it my ringtone.
It's hard to describe how special those moments are. It's like, it hits a place of your heart that nothing else can. Oh, that's really cool.
And it's the all kind of tied in. My 10-year-old, I'm at this age where he's a little bit more mature and wise than your traditional 10-year-old. He's got a brother with a rare disease and special needs. Like, so, still sweet, still young, but also like talks to me like like he's 16 sometimes. And this week for me, I was putting down my youngest son, and I promised that I would come into my room and tuck my 10-year-old, tuck him in before he went to bed, and I forgot. And so he kind of woke up, or like this is probably a little bit later, crying and kind of, hey, Dad, where are you? And I got in, and he kind of, he shared a lot of the stuff that are the challenges about being a brother to a rare disease. Like, I know you got to give him extra attention. I still want you to read to me, but maybe am I too old to be read to? Just sharing what was kind of on his heart. And it was like, we're both there with tears in our eyes. We ended up kind of reading a little bit. We prayed. So it was a low point to kind of go, gosh, like, man, I kind of dropped the ball as a dad. I told him I was going to do it. I didn't. And then it helped, or kind of facilitated him feeling all these emotions. But then the next day, it was, and by the way, I'm solo parenting right now. My wife's out of the country for business. And the house is kind of a mess. It's kind of organized chaos. And I love it because I get to see all the things that my wife just does without me even knowing they get done. And it was late at night. I'm like, oh, my son's favorite snack right now is these Takis from Trader Joe's. Like, loves them. We ran out 7:45 at night. I'm like, hey, we're going to Trader Joe's. Usually at this time, everybody's showered and bathed. I'm like, no, hop in the car. Lucas, Jack, we get there. it's kind of a little hectic inside Trader Joe's. So I said, Jack, I assigned him the task. Take the basket. You get the snacks. I'll walk around with Lucas. Lucas was awesome inside Trader Joe's. Sometimes you don't know his behaviors, how he's going to respond. And we get back in the car after checking out, and Jack looks over at me and goes, Dad, that was so smooth. And it was like, this was awesome. Cause again, I could have negotiated with myself out of that situation. No, I'm not going to do it. It's too late. The kids need to do this, or Lucas, the behavior might be too challenging, but it was perfect. And Lucas had fun. Jack got to put something in his memory bank where, hey, we can go out and do stuff with Lucas, and it can go smooth. And so it's just this is a kind of a snapshot of our life as a rare disease family, special needs family. Is one day we're experiencing these emotions, these challenges, and the next day you get to memory bank some little things that seem so small to some families, but are huge wins to us. And like, I couldn't wait to text my wife, hey, this is what Jack said. This was awesome. Here's a picture of us at Trader Joe's. So two big takeaways for me is you gotta kind of roll with the punches and keep trying stuff out as a rare disease family. But two, if you haven't tried the Takis from Trader Joe's, oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're not
Spicy or
called
not
Takis,
spicy?
but they are so good.
Core memory unlocked for sure, right? Like that is just forever. Both boys are going to just remember that night at Trader Joe's and how good those Takis tasted.
Jack for sure is. I mean, it was so, yeah, it's, anyway, it's the neat thing, I'll just leave it with this. The neat thing about our family situation is you find beautiful things in these just everyday episodic events of normal life. They're super, super special to us because it just gives us, like, even when my family goes on a walk, like that's another thing. On my wife's birthday last week, she's like, hey, we want to go on a family walk. We don't do that often. It meant the world to me. So the little things mean a ton to us.
I think that's so beautifully said, because a lot of times as parents, we try and plan these extravagant things for our children. And, we're going to do a massive Disneyland trip and there's a million logistics involved. But then it's the little things where true joy comes out. And those are the memorable moments. And that actually leads right into mine. Typically, my wife picks up Lennon from school, or we coordinate a ride with a carpool for him. And this week he had a baseball game. And so I decided to end my work day early, and I was going to go pick him up from school myself and take him to baseball. And he didn't know I was coming. And when I got there to pick him up, he just had this smile on his face. He goes, Daddy, I love it when you pick me up from school. And I was just like, gosh, like, okay, I need to do this more. Right. And it's just such a little thing. It's picking him up from school, but he was so excited. And I guess the cherry on top, part two, is I took him to his baseball game. He's playing coach pitch for the first time this year. Last year it was all T-ball, and he's been struggling a bit to make the adjustment, but he had 2 at-bats and 2 hits in coach pitch. And that was like my proudest moment as a dad.
That's Hall of Fame numbers right there.
That's a hell yeah, brother, right there.
Batting 1,000, baby. And then the low, we just got back from Paris, and we had an awesome time out there. We went to Disneyland Paris, and jet lag is always tough as an adult. It's even tougher as a kid, right? So one of the nights I was taking calls on US hours, so I was up until about 1 in the morning local time, and the kids and the family had gone to bed about 8 p.m. And so I go to lay down to get some sleep, and after about 15 minutes of falling asleep, Lennon, the 5-year-old, wakes up. He's like, all right, I'm not tired anymore. He wakes up the 2-year-old, and we were all up at that point. So it was a 15-minute night of sleep.
Hey, that's wild, but I can't not take advantage of this opportunity. You've been to hundreds of countries, and you kind of are going from time zone to time zone. What is your one recommendation for dealing with jet lag, if you could give to all the viewers watching?
Always land at night if possible. So wherever you're flying to, if you can control, if there's multiple flights and there's one that lands in the morning and one lands in the evening, always take the one that lands in the evening, and then take either a melatonin or a Unisom and try and get on that schedule as soon as possible. So I'll always do that. We try and land at night, take something to help you sleep, and then try and adjust as quickly as possible. It's the best thing I've found.
Yeah, never heard that, by the way. So you're saying it's much easier to fall asleep than it is to try to stay awake.
Exactly. And I made the mistake. I didn't have flexibility on this last trip, and we landed at 8 a.m. and it was brutal. We tried our hardest to stay awake, but we all ended up falling asleep for a 5-hour nap around noon. And didn't get adjusted properly. So
Pepper in a little daylight savings time too, and you got yourself a spicy gumbo right
hot
there.
mess. Yeah.
Woo. Speaking of hot things, we have our next segment here, which we are calling Hot Dad Hot Takes. That's right. We're calling a hot take something that would cause a debate, maybe an argument at a barbecue. So let's go around and share our hot takes. Who wants to throw theirs first here on the grill?
I want to hear Jeff's.
Well, I've been thinking about this one because I remember I got this little piece of advice from someone before I had kids. I'm like, no way, like this doesn't happen. Is never ever be surprised if your kids are manipulating you, even if they're 6 months old. I'm like, there's no way a 6 month can manipulate you. And then like I realized, like, guess what? My kids, whether Jack was 6 months or 10 years old, I see what you're doing. You're manipulating me. So again, I'm not saying never allow them to do it, because there's times where you're going to be a dad. Oh, it's okay. I'll get you this. But never be surprised when your kids are manipulating you. And I'm telling you, a 6 month old can manipulate you. Now, you might not believe me, but that's my hot take.
Did Jack sell you a timeshare in Boca Raton?
Yes, it was actually West Palm Beach, but yeah, it was.
Jeff's like, what's this $8,000 charge on my credit card? Jack's in the background.
It's one of these things where I kind of look back and go, I see what you just did. But even I remember, like, just as a young kid, like they know how to get what they want. So I'm telling you, 6 months olds can manipulate you. Be on the lookout.
You got to be aware of the girls too. My 2-year-old daughter is much more manipulating than my son, and I'll do anything for her. She could. Yeah, I mean, no questions asked.
100%. Yeah.
Captive
She's
audience.
got me wrapped around her finger.
Oh, Bob,
John,
my
what do you
wife and
got?
I have a bit of a code word where we have to, if I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to say no to this, but someone has to. So my hot take is this. I think that the whole myth of work-life balance is a trick that we play on ourselves, and in a way that doesn't really benefit anybody. I think that the more we separate the idea of I am this person at work and I am this person at home, I think especially as the world changes and what it means to work, what it means to be a present parent, what it means to be a human, especially in an era of AI, is going to evolve really rapidly here. I think we'll be less and less served by saying I am person A when I'm not at work and I am person B when I am at work. And instead, making sure that you're setting your life up and learning from both things to be the best version of each. Usually, when it comes to burnout, in my experience, my hot take, usually if somebody's burned out, it's because they're doing something without purpose or without meaning. I think we can move mountains. There was a man whose wife died of cancer in a rural area of a developing nation. And it turned out that she just couldn't get over a mountain to get to where they could have treated her. And he ended up burrowing around that mountain and tearing the whole side of that mountain off and building a road after she passed away because he had that purpose. And I guarantee you, he didn't go to sleep feeling like he didn't get anything done that day. And so I think connecting your human purpose with the work that you're doing, and if you can't do that at work, then it's probably time to find something else to do. That would be my hot take.
I love it. And I need to ask a follow-up because it's you. I highly doubt that was just a hot take that you really haven't thought about. Where did the work-life balance trap come from? How long has this been around? Like, I'm sure you researched this. Do you have any idea where this kind of sprung from?
Well, it's probably two key points, and I'm sure someone in the audience will be able to link much better research than this. I think the introduction of the weekend some 100+ years ago, I think when we defined that 2 days out of the 7 are the 2 that we're going to rest / go to Home Depot, I think that was the point at which we said, hey, this small percentage of the week is when you are not at work. And I think when we codified that so clearly and so many people worked in this 9 to 5 environment, that's where we locked into saying, I have only 2 days to be who I am. And so I have to make the most of that. And so I will have a switch. So I think that's probably one of the bigger parts of it. But I think these days, now that myth probably comes more from the fact that there's more of a duality and almost a conflict between who we are and who employs us. And I think especially in an era where layoffs are so common, I think there's an inherent level of transactionality that's being injected into both sides of the employment equation. And I don't think that serves anybody. I don't think that serves entities that are trying to accomplish great things. I don't think it serves people who want to be part of doing great things. And so I think it just comes back around to like net trust. Entities, companies need to find ways to to earn trust with people, with communities, with their customers, with their people. And people need to find ways to trust and be trusted with their work. And I think that'll probably make us all feel a little bit better than just I'm just here as a number kind of an energy.
I think this is easier, John, for somebody who is passionate about what they're doing, right? It's easier to have that balance or be the same person in both situations. What about the millions of men, dads who aren't necessarily passionate about their career, but they're providing for their family and they're making, that income for their family? How does this advice apply to them?
Well, if I could be so bold, we are in an era right now where even a year ago, this answer could have been so different. But 5 years from now, something like 60 to 80% of people in the United States, we'll just speak for the United States, will be doing something different than they are now, largely because of automation and a surplus of productivity that will make many of the things that we do right now so low value, meaning there'll be automation agents or even robots that can do those things, that it just doesn't behoove a human to do it. And there's a lot of that already. Like, look at the way manufacturing works, many parts of logistics. If you've ever seen a video of the inside of an Amazon AR, meaning robotics facility, you'll get that energy real fast because it's like a beehive full of mechanical orange bees. Anyway, I share that to say, if somebody's feeling like they don't have that purpose and they're like maybe burning out at work, there has never been a time before where somebody sitting in Miami or somebody sitting in Mumbai can open up a phone, be it Android, iOS, it doesn't matter, and access Claude, what is currently Opus 4.6, and have the most amazing technology in the universe available at your fingertips, largely for free. I don't think that'll be the case forever, and it certainly has never been the case before. And what you can build, just out of curiosity right now, can connect you with opportunities that you can't even begin to imagine. And so my advice to somebody who feels that right now and thinks, well, I'm an accountant, I have to just be an accountant, that's what I do. Well, you're not going to be an accountant 5 years from now. You're not. So I would recommend jumping in, playing, and not out of a sense of survival, but out of a sense of unprecedented opportunity to explore.
John, well said. And Jordan, I think that question is something I think about a ton because I think and I'll be a little bit less data driven than John, but I think we're moving into a world where a lot of things that we're used to doing that keep us busy, that kind of fill that 9 to 5 will be done for us. And so you're going to have no excuse but to share your God-given talents and gifts and things you're interested in. And to John's point, like you can connect with people who desire to use what you might build or what you might share. I think we're moving into a sweet little golden age. Not saying it's all going to be good, but I think it'll be mostly good. But yeah, no better time to really kind of take a look and kind of go, what interests me? The Jordan Chloe conversation of 6 years ago. Man, I want something different. What is it? What interests me? This is the time to do it. So very well said, John. Great question, Jordan.
The other side of that is that's really scary for a lot of people, right? If you have a comfortable career, you're an accountant, for example, and your job is at risk, what can you do in that situation? And maybe this is an additional episode where we just cover everything AI and how to keep up with it. But for a lot of people, they are scared of AI and they don't know, they can't wrap their head around it. So what do you say to that type of person?
Well, this one I have a really specific recommendation for. Like, here's what if someone hearing this is feeling what you're describing, Jordan, here's exactly the 3 steps that I would take right now. Like, I would pause this episode and go do this. Get on Claude. So Claude.ai. If you don't have an account, make one. It's free. You can access it from any electronic. You can even go to the library and access it from there. Go on there and prompt it and say, I want you to build me a plan for becoming fluent in AI over the course of the next 3 months. So there's your step 2. Use that prompt. I want you to build me a plan for becoming fluent in AI in the next 3 months. Watch what it does. And then here's the third part. Ask, how do I prompt you better next time? And now what you've just done is you've created a thread that you've now pulled, and you will unweave an unbelievable tapestry. And it turns out that it's actually just a curtain, and behind it is this amazing world of opportunity. Because before you know it, you're going to be looking at what OpenClaw is and figuring out that you can be running agents and building agent clouds and doing unbelievable things while you sleep that improve whatever you are doing now. So while you might not be an accountant 5 years from now, you may very well have an agent, a cloud agent, a cloud of agents that is doing that work on your behalf while you are out with your kids.
I think that's perfect. That's a very actionable step you can take right now to stay ahead of this AI wave that's already happening.
I mean, I'm over here taking notes because it's like, okay, you don't need to figure it out now, but you need to figure out the machine per se. Man. All right, John, I got work to do.
We could do an episode called Surfing the Wave, right? Like how to get on top of the wave and surf it instead of it riptide.
Yeah,
You don't
well,
want
let's
that.
record it like right away. Like now you kind of got what is my appetite? Like this is this new world where we are in. The future is here is super exciting, but also to Jordan's point, super scary.
Yeah, and I think we bookmark this and we set aside an entire episode to talk about this because this is so useful right now and so necessary right now for all of the dads and everybody out there who is we're all going through this phase together, right? Like AI is new to all of us, and there are people like John who are experts at it, and then there were a lot of people who have no idea what it is or how to use it. And so I think that could be very beneficial to help others understand.
Call it dadgentic or something like that.
There you go. I like
Let's
that.
trademark that right away. Editor's note.
Well, shifting gears a little bit to my hot take and back to being a dad and parenting, I think the best way for our kids to learn and grow is by being uncomfortable. Now, to be clear, I'm excluding anyone in the special needs community from this conversation, but it's naturally counterintuitive as a parent to make our kids uncomfortable. However, getting them outside of their routines is what makes them flexible as kids. It's what helps them be resilient in every aspect of life. And so it's very easy. I'm guilty of this, but it's very easy to have a strict routine and say bedtime is 7 o'clock every night, bath is 6:30. And as we heard Jeff's example earlier, the typical night that would be bedtime, but he decided to make a quick game change and go to Trader Joe's, and it turned into a core memory for him. And so my example here is, we're right now we're very comfortable in our routine where we live in Las Vegas. We have everything down to a science, and then we travel 6 months of the year. But we decided we wanted to get a little bit uncomfortable, and so we moved over to Europe for the summer, and we enrolled Lennon in a worldschooling program in Montenegro, of all places. I tell people out there, like, I don't even know where that is. And he came in as the new kid, right? He has all of his friends here in Las Vegas, and he loves hanging out with them. But here, he didn't know a single person. He came in shy, as every kid would. He wasn't sure how to respond to it all. And the first couple weeks were tough. And over time, he built close friendships. And one of the great blessings that came from it is that they had a local Montenegrin woman cooking all of their meals for them every single day at school. And so they were eating traditional dishes like stuffed cabbage with tomatoes and different sauces that, kids have never tried before. And because there's no other options, that's what you have to eat. And so not that he was a picky eater coming into it, but he's definitely still a kid, right? And so he would come home and tell us the things that he had eaten at school that day. And I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, I didn't know you were capable of eating that, And so doing things like this, it doesn't have to be as extravagant as moving across the world and, enrolling in a new school program, but just doing little things that are outside of our norm or routine, taking our kids on a hike when they've never done one before and breaking it up with little silly dance breaks every 30 minutes or doing fun things that, are outside of the typical routine. I feel like that's what makes our kids, it gives them flexibility and it helps them grow. And one true example to that is now at Lennon's current school in Las Vegas, a new kid enrolled and was feeling the same way that Lennon felt at his school. He was shy. He didn't know anybody there. And Lennon was the first one to walk up to him and be like, welcome him to the school. And I just thought that was such a special experience.
That's amazing.
So I got a follow-up question on that one, Jordan. So both of you guys just shared amazing examples of breaking the norm, of a shift outside of the standard routine. In your case, Jordan, your entire life, taking the kids and the family to the other side of the world. And then this wonderful outcome of empathy. And in Jeff, of course, there's Trader Joe's. I mean, if you guys had to use one or two words to describe the benefit of breaking the routine like that, what would you choose?
For me, it's resilience and flexibility. I meet so many other kids who, they'll only eat chicken nuggets or they'll only eat quesadillas or pancakes. And my 5-year-old Lennon, he asks for salmon and rice and sushi and fish and, all sorts of things that other kids aren't eating. And I just love that. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. It's like he's willing to try new things. And I think that's what is really cool to me as a parent.
And it's funny you bring up food because I was one of those people who didn't eat eggs until I was like 18. You know, I think I had them as a kid. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I was very picky. And my son Jack, we had ramen a couple nights ago, and I'm like Jack, I never had ramen until I was 30. He goes, you didn't live life until you were in your 30s. And so he's really funny. He's got a really good sense of humor from his reading, by the way. So much funnier than I am. But it's one of these things where, to Jordan's point, like trying new things allows you to then be there for other people who are trying new things. And I think the fact that Lennon was there for somebody else and had the kind of the emotional intelligence to see that someone needs need to be there for him is just awesome. I think the more kind of to wrap up Jordan's point, like the more uncomfortable you get, the more experiences you have, you put them in your memory bank, then it allows you to share those experiences in different ways with others when you need to. And so I think the resilience piece is, I'm going to steal it, Jordan. Like I think building resilience, letting kind of your kids fail and have their feelings, and not I'm kind of and not always trying to overprotecting or trying to be there to catch them is something that's hard to do. You have to restrict that desire to do it, but if you do it, that's when the kids grow.
And we all hear that quote all the time as adults, there's no growth in the comfort zone. And I think we take that and we live that ourselves. But how often do we pass that on to our children, right? A lot of times we want to be very protective and make sure they have the best life possible. But it is okay, as you said, Jeff, to let them fail and let them, experience that misery and heartache, because that's the only way to grow.
Here,
Kelly and I were talking about, it's funny, it's almost this like identical conversation in a lot of ways. We were talking about how critical it is to make sure that you break cycles and break routines, not all the time. Obviously, kids need to feel a sense of normality, and that there are boundaries to the day and that they can set personal boundaries. But I do think that if you set a precedent for routines being the norm, or set a comfort zone as the limit of a kid's curiosity, I think part of one of the more criminal aspects of that impact is that that's as far as they could think, as far as they can imagine, maybe is the better word. And boy, when you as the parent, in this case, when one of us dads says, "Hey, I know this is how we usually do it. We're getting in the car. We're going to Trader Joe's." That just shows a kid like, wow, anything is possible. Anything can happen, and I can make anything happen. Look what my dad just did, right? And that's so cool. Superhero stuff. A small moment of superhero stuff.
There's a YouTube video of a guy who has ants on a piece of blank white paper, and he draws a circle around them with a Sharpie. As soon as the circle is complete, the ant will not exit that circle at all. It doesn't know where to go. It just runs around in circles. He does one circle that's not completely closed, and the ant walks right out. And the ant sees that it walked on part of the black line. And the next time he tries to draw a circle around that ant, it walks right over it. And the lesson there is the mental block, right? As parents, we put these parameters on our kids or if we go back to the food analogy, it's like they won't eat X, Y, and Z. They just won't eat it. And all that's doing is reinforcing in their mind that they're boxed in. Whereas, if we never say those types of things and we give them opportunities to try new things, well, all of a sudden they have the mental strength to break that barrier and walk right outside of it.
I could listen to you two talk all day long. This is good stuff. I feel like I'm getting a free therapy session on how to be a better parent. So this is awesome stuff.
Well, I hope the audience feels like they could listen to us talk all day long too. Speaking of which, I think it's time to wrap it up and close up this episode of the Dad Squadcast. Next episode, it sounds like we might be talking about some AI stuff and maybe what it means to be a dad in the era of an agentic future. So that said, thanks for listening. Any final thoughts, gents? Okay, as we come to the end of this episode 1 of the Dad Squadcast, we are going to start a new tradition, and that is a speed round of advice for a new dad. Let's throw to Jordan first. Jordan, what would you tell a new dad right now, lightning round?
The way you treat your spouse is exactly how your kids will treat others. So if I treat my spouse with love and respect, that is a direct representation of how my kids are going to treat others, which is one of the most important things in the world to me.
So
Yeah,
good.
I think we should have saved that one for the last. That sounds like the cherry on top. John, what do you got?
I would say similarly that as dads, a lot of times, especially right out of the gates, you're going to feel like you're supposed to know it all, and there is no manual. I wish there was a manual. There isn't. And you're probably going to feel a lot of times like you're supposed to have the answer, and when you don't have the answer, you're going to feel bad. because that's how we're socialized in many cases. That is such a prime opportunity to rewire some of that masculinity that tells us that we have to be this lone wolf. We already know the whole alpha wolf thing is a myth. It was bad science to start with. It's been bad. It's bad now. Take that opportunity to change the way you think about asking for help and being vulnerable, because you'll never have a better opportunity to connect with your partner, you with the other kids that are already in the house, other family members, than right now, because everybody knows that you're exhausted and they want to help you.
Love that.
From my seat, I think we're here, on earth to share. Like I think we're here to share. So as a father, what greater gift for you to share than the gift of life? You get to be you get to share the ultimate gift, but at the same time, those first few months are hard. The first few months of you're a new dad, the first few months you're like, what am I doing? Like I don't even get eye contact. All I do is change diapers and feed bottles. I promise you, it gets better. So embrace those dark 3, 4, 5 months where you're like, did I wake up last night? Did you feed? I can't remember. I promise you'll look back and they'll be good memories. But you'll be laughing about it. You might not want to go back. You'll eventually forget about them because I think your body has to, so you can have another kid. But come month 5, 6, when you start making connections and you feel it, every month it gets better. Right now I'm on the 120th month for my oldest. And I'm telling you, every month it gets better. Embrace those first few months and just know that the promise of every month it gets better. It's hard to explain how it does, but I promise you it does.
And along that journey, it's okay to make mistakes. When you realize that nobody knows what they're doing, it makes everything a lot easier. Sometimes we look at other parents like, oh, they have it all figured out. Nobody does.
And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Getting messy, getting dirty. Well, with that sage-like wisdom, we will close down this episode of the Dad Squadcast. Tune in next week when we're talking about some big tech stuff, maybe a little AI, maybe a little what it's like to be a dad in an agentic future. And see you in the next episode.